Welcome, everybody, to Rise, Empower, Dream, a podcast that's been created to inspire, uplift, and empower you to step out of your fear and comfort zones and into your greatness. I'm Camilla Durand, your host. And today with me, I have two amazing humans that happen to be brother and sister, Hibs Saab and Najib Saab. Hibs is a yoga master, yoga teacher. She owns Hibs Yoga Studio in Henderson. And Najib is the founder and owner of a church called 963 Tribe, who specializes in plant medicine and ayahuasca. Welcome, guys. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you
Such a
for
pleasure
having
to be
us.
here. Thank you.
So excited for this, to show our community and our listeners, our viewers, the power of yoga and the power of plant medicine. So let's start with Hibs. Tell us a little bit about your journey with yoga, your view on yoga, how important it is for personal and emotional growth.
Yeah, I'd love to. I actually started with yoga, like most people, for physical reasons. I wanted to lose weight, and I really did not like the options at the gym. And when I took yoga, I felt something happening very deep in my body and my being. It changed not only my physical appearance, but also how I thought, my attitudes and perceptions, particularly of my body image. It changed the way that I talked to myself internally, the way I treated myself, the choices I was making with my diet, the choices I was making in my relationships, not only with myself, but also with other people. And then over time became the kind of gateway to my spiritual awakening. And I think for a lot of people, whatever they come to yoga for, usually at first it's physical reasons, like wanting to lose weight or be more flexible, or their doctor tells them it'll help them with their back or something like that. Over time, through the practice, they find those types of benefits from just committing to showing up.
How long ago did you start your journey?
I've been practicing yoga for over 20 years and teaching yoga for almost that long as well, because I started teaching about 2 years after I started practicing. And it's been profound. It's been a really beautiful adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, yoga means union, and ultimately union with the divine. So as we move further and further into the practice, we start to feel that interconnectedness, not only with ourselves, but with everything, and eventually with our creator, which is the goal of yoga.
Totally. I love that. And how long have you had your studio?
10 years.
10 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Najib, did you start your path into the spiritual and into spirituality by going to Hibs classes, or how was your journey into this spiritual contribution to people?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I started off in life. I've always been a very spiritual person, just in general. Just I've had a lot of inclination towards something greater, and I've always been very inquisitive, and studied a lot of different theologies. Growing up, and it's always been very powerful. But the one thing that I've always had a really big disconnect in was the idea that all of this stuff required the word faith. And faith is a very powerful word, but you're trying to grasp onto something that you've never truly experienced with your senses, right? And as humans, it's kind of difficult to get someone to really buy into something unless they've experienced it. So over the years, I was fortunate that I found plant medicine. I started off with mushrooms and psilocybin mushrooms. And I remember my first journey after connecting with them. It was the first time that I truly felt in my core and experienced a state that is energetically, emotionally, and spiritually way larger than myself. And it truly opened my eyes to this potentiality of what this path could lead to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what kicked things off. And after that, it just gave me a whole new perspective on just religion as a whole, spirituality, different practices, and the plants. And it gave me a different perspective on the power of the plants and, the allies that they can potentially be for us as humans. So, yeah, it's a great question.
How many plant medicines are there?
Oh man, countless. Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah, countless. I mean, if you think about it, any plant in theory is a life force, right? So depending on who you speak to, but in the Shipibo traditions in Peru, which is the traditions that I predominantly study under, all plants have life force behind them and their own energies and spirit entities that they have behind them. And in those spaces, in theory, you could really interact with any of them. You could connect with any of them. When it comes to plant medicines that are more well known, right? We consider those like the entheogens or the plants that put you in an altered state of mind, an altered state of consciousness. I mean, there's still a lot of those all over the world as well. Different, tribes from all over the world, different countries have worked with plants in various ways, whether it's, Eastern medicine to, here in the West, right? All the way to South America, all around the world, they've found different uses in plants, right? You have blue lotus out in Egypt, you have wachuma, which is San Pedro, you have psilocybin mushrooms, you have ayahuasca, you have different mixtures of plants like hape, you have and then some simpler ones like cacao, right? Cacao, believe it or not, is a plant that can put you in an altered state
Really?
on a heart level. Yeah, it's not obviously as
Really? I had
intense
no
as,
idea.
yeah, it's not obviously as intense as like an ayahuasca journey, but it's a heart opener, right? So
Okay.
if you take cacao in a strong enough, pure enough form, it can definitely open you up to an altered state on a conscious level. Um, it's not necessarily considered a psychedelic, but it's definitely plant medicine. So, there's so many, and that's kind of the beauty of the plant world is that as we evolve, we discover different uses, we discover different plants, different combinations of plants that are here to help us and allow us to manifest the highest version of ourselves.
Oh, I love the way you say that. Manifest the highest version of ourselves. That is beautiful. I think that's one of the most beautiful explanations I've ever heard of the
Mm.
benefits of taking plant medicine. Hibbs, how long have you been acquainted with ayahuasca?
I actually met ayahuasca through Najib.
Really? Okay.
Uh-huh. I in my yoga practice and my yoga teaching, part of the work that I do is really being clear and clean, which means being substance free. And so for a long time, I was kind of resistant to trying ayahuasca because I was just in a stage in my life where I was not interested in any kind of interference from psychedelics. And I was not understanding the difference between ayahuasca and, let's say, LSD or something like
Right.
that. And then through, of course, witnessing my brother in his journey with ayahuasca and how much it was changing him and the profound shifts that I was seeing in him in the way that he was interacting with me and my family and with the people around him and the way that he was stepping into leadership and his spirituality, I was intrigued. And there was a time in my life where I was feeling a little bit stuck, and Najib very gently and patiently invited me a few times to sit with him with ayahuasca to kind of get an understanding of what he was up to. And at some point, I just had an intuition. They say the medicine calls you.
Yeah.
And it was a very strong intuition that now is the time. Like, just reach out to your brother and go find me. We need to sit together. And so I did. And it was absolutely incredible and definitely they say that, you know, one session of ayahuasca replaces like years of therapy. And there's definitely something to that. It's very profound, deep soul healing and very profound, deep inner learning that happens in a very compact way in a very short period of time. And I felt that ever since I sat with the medicine, I've just developed such a much closer relationship with my brother, with the medicine, with my gifts, and with my ability to serve my community and my connection to my own spirituality.
And how long ago was that?
Probably just over a year ago.
Okay, so you're a newbie somewhat. And
Absolutely.
you've already been able to experience the depth that ayahuasca has, the
Oh
healing.
yeah, I went very deep, very quick.
Well, especially with yoga, right? You create this channel within yourself to really dive deep into your essence and do whatever it is that you need to do and release whatever it is that you need to release to really evolve.
Yeah, and I feel like there's you know, our souls, and this is also a Vedic teaching, you know, they experience many lifetimes, and in those lifetimes that we experience, we, depending on the choices that we make and the people and circumstances that we find ourselves in, we kind of like expand in our consciousness. And if we're lucky enough, we're able to retain that level of expansion in our next life so that we can get closer and closer to liberating ourselves. And I felt with this plant medicine that all the ways that there were like shadows or layers, I guess, that were hiding me from myself, kind of like not fully understanding the depth of my soul learning over lifetimes, that were just able to be removed in, you know, just even one time sitting with the medicine. And in that uncovering this deep inner knowing of how much we have access to, and when we're able to tap into that, who we really are.
I love that. Najib, can you explain to the listeners, how does ayahuasca work within us? A little bit about the journey, what it does, because Hibbs mentioned the shadows, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I mean, ayahuasca, what it is, it's just two plants and water, right? So it's the vine of ayahuasca, which is an actual plant called ayahuasca, and then the leaf from a plant called chacruna, Psychotria viridis, and you put them in layers in a pot with water, and you basically make a very strong tea, right? And the way it works is it puts you in this like dreamlike state when you drink the medicine, and you end up interacting with this entity that we also call ayahuasca. And this entity, we call it a her or a she or a grandmother, or that type of energy, because it has that kind of, you know, loving, deep, like ancestral female type energy to her, to the medicine. But it's way beyond sex. It's way beyond gender. It's just, you know, it's a good way for us humans. Yeah, it's just a good way for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a good way for us to kind of wrap our heads around it in human form. But what ends up happening is this entity, this energy, it knows us better than we know ourselves. It's known us in every life leading to this one, and it knows every potentiality of the decisions that we make and how they may impact us. And it starts to work with us, and it will show us things that are holding us back from living in that highest version. And it will basically present them in different ways, whether it's like visions or internal dialogue, or you know, it could just be like thoughts that are obviously not yours that are coming to you. Different ways. She'll present herself in ways that we are able to receive her, basically, and never more than we're able to receive her. And that's really kind of how it works. And it allows us to process on a conscious level, and play out different scenarios and experience them firsthand so that we can make conscious choices and decisions for ourselves to change the way we are in a positive way, because we have answers from a source that's clearly unbiased and here to help us. And that's really what it's all about. And something I like everyone to know is that this medicine is founded and given to us by God or creation or that energy of whatever brought us here. And people should replace that word with whatever sits well with them. But it's founded in that love. So when we sit with these medicines, especially medicine like ayahuasca, really the deepest and darkest thing you're ever going to find is yourself, right? You're going to discover the deepest and darkest corners of you.
Yeah.
And it's a really beautiful process. And talking about the shadow, what is the shadow? The shadow is just areas of ourself and our own existence that we haven't really explored, or maybe we've put in a back corner and kind of locked the door on. So when we dive into the shadow, doing shadow work, all that is diving into the darkness of your soul and yourself, and basically bringing in a giant flashlight and seeing what's in there. And bringing whatever is in the shadow and the darkness to light. And that's really what that process is and what it's all about.
And I love how you said that it's love, right? It's
Mhm.
everything is made with love. And it is. It's during the journey, you can feel this love that's coming from inside of you, that's being activated by the plant medicine, by ayahuasca. Tell us a little bit about the importance of having music throughout the ceremony.
Yeah, so music isn't there for the enjoyment of the ceremony, right? So we can, in Shipibo tradition, we call them ikaros, which is basically like medicine songs or medicine projections of sound, right? For the purpose of healing, right? So, our body, for example, is predominantly made of water. And if you've ever seen, a loudspeaker resonating on water, it creates ripples through the water. So the Icaros are no different. So as we sing, as we play music, as we project, we're projecting energy that will ripple through the body and basically shake things up. And any energetic attachments or things that are stuck or things that are just no longer serving us on an energetic level will basically get shaken up and positioned in a physical way that we can then release. So that's the purpose of the Icaros, is to really drive the journey and move the energy and allow us to process various emotions in different states.
Wonderful. That's so beautiful. And I know you and Hibbs, you both of you create these amazing events in our community. I've seen pictures. Hibbs, you sing. You play some kind of instrument, Najib. Can you guys tell us a little bit about the impact in these events and the purpose of them?
Yeah, go ahead, Eva. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this was actually one of Najib's ideas, and I'm sure also inspired by the medicine, was to open up my space, my yoga studio, for these events called ceremonies, which are non-medicine ceremonies, to help people in the community who are facilitators, people who have healing gifts or who are wanting to share their gifts with the community for the purpose of elevating our consciousness, to have a space to be able to do that. And for people who are curious about participating in those types of events, or people who are looking for conscious community to be able to come together, because I have a really nice space, holds about 60 people. And so we started hosting these events, inviting different facilitators in the community to share. And it's been an absolutely incredible experience. And we share some plant medicine in those ceremonies, like Najib said, the cacao for sure, which is a very nice introduction for people who have not sat with plant medicine before, who are a little bit hesitant to just get a sense of how plants can interact with you in ceremonial setting. And there's definitely a lot of music, there's breath work, there's yoga, there's movement, but it's really about community. It's about cultivating that conscious community, bringing people together.
And you guys recently did one of these ceremonies in Area 15, yes? How was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. We were very fortunate to have a very strong spiritual and holistic community here in Vegas. And, the work we do, we're very connected to those communities. So we got invited to do a set as the tribe, 963 tribe. And it was like a sound journey. It was basically just a ceremony, like a taste of what a ayahuasca ceremony would be like without the medicine itself. And it was very powerful. Yeah, and we had a lot of members from the tribe supporting us and helping us facilitate this incredible event. Yeah, I think we called it Harmonic Ascension, Echoes of Sacred Sound is what that was called. But yeah, there was a lot of people. It was like a little over 400 people or so,
Yeah.
just in our room. Not to mention all the people that were walking around the festival that we got to interact with. And Heva was able to do a beautiful session on, just mantra work and kirtan. And I was part of a panel that had a lot of different facilitators and speaking about psychedelic and holistic medicines and, taking care of yourself on that level. And we're very fortunate to be a part of that festival. Yeah, it's called the Radiance Festival.
I love it. What would you both tell people who are afraid of experiencing ayahuasca? Because there's a lot of stigma around it. What would you guys say to our listeners who want to try it but are hesitant, or they don't, because here in the States, ayahuasca is considered a drug. In Brazil, where I come from, it's not, because you have the Amazon and the tribes. So people there are more, accustomed, more used to, more open to ayahuasca. So what would both of you say to the listeners that are hesitant to try?
I can speak to that a little bit. I think having a fear is very normal. I think anytime that we're about to expand our consciousness, our subconscious mind is going to want to keep us exactly where we are and generate all sorts of fears and reasons why we shouldn't try it. It's even like that with yoga or breath work. People come in literally afraid, scared to feel their bodies, scared to find out what's on the other side if they start breathing with intention. And I think it's the same for ayahuasca, adding, of course, as you mentioned, all the misconceptions and all of the scary things that you can find when you do your own kind of research, which I definitely did before I tried ayahuasca the first time. And I think for me, there was, first of all, the trust in my brother. I mean, he's an amazing facilitator. He has a deep connection with the tribes. He has a deep connection with the medicine, and he is channeling something that's much bigger than him or me or anyone. And so that first and foremost, that trust. And then the second thing is just getting to a place in my life where it literally felt like, almost like I had no choice. Like it was just, I was at a place where it was almost like, I don't want to say it was like, I wasn't suicidal or anything, but it felt like, oh my gosh, I'm at such a low, like, this is where I'm at right now. It just feels like I'm at such a low that fuck it. Like, what could
say whatever you want here.
Like what could possibly be worse than this? And of course, there's always like the fear of like, what if I die? That would be worse, of course. But just trusting my brother and trusting that he knows what he's doing kind of assuaged that fear, like that you're not going to die, it's going to be fine. And and then beyond that, like, really, what's the worst that could happen? And then when I went in with that mentality and just being at that place in my life where I just really needed a turnaround and just felt like, okay, maybe this can help me, and why not? Let me just try it. So yeah, I think if anyone's afraid, just maybe if you're not ready, it's probably because you're not at that place yet where you're at the bucket place. Like, like you'll know when you're there. And when you're there, this is here for you. It's right here for you.
I love it. And does everybody that take the medicine go where they need to go, or do they have some kind of control and they're able to stop themselves from going into their the deepest corners that they're supposed to go?
No, it's a great question. basically, ayahuasca is not a subtle experience. It's not a ceremony that you go into with one foot in, one foot out. Once you take the medicine, you're basically at the mercy of the medicine at that point, the sacrament of ayahuasca. So, and it's actually a beautiful thing because it's a lesson of control and it's a lesson of releasing that control. Because a lot of times in life, we think we can control things, and we learn very quickly that we really don't have much control over anything in life. Even our own breath, and I say this a lot, which keeps us alive, we don't control. So, how much control do we actually have? And the medicine, when we dive into that, it's so powerful, and it really does bring us into that state where you can develop yourself, and when you release that control, it's not something that you can take back throughout the journey, right? So it's a beautiful thing, because once you make it through that and you survive that and you understand the power of that, there's really nothing to fear anymore, right? And it helps you kind of dive deeper and connect and really begin to feel the beauty of the ceremony, and receive the blessings of the medicine and the blessings of the sacrament and the blessings of Mother Ayahuasca, which is there to help you.
And where do you bring the ayahuasca from, Najib?
Yes, so the medicine comes all the way from the jungle. So it comes prepared from the tribes. The same medicine you'd be, receiving, if you went and sat with the tribes directly in Peru. It's the same medicine. It's not. That's one of the beautiful things about this medicine, is that it doesn't just grow anywhere, right? You can't just put it in your backyard and now you have ayahuasca, right? So it needs very specific environments. It needs very specific intention. It needs to be prepared in very specific ways, and it's a very powerful and sacred process. And to be able to have these sacred medicines all the way here in the United States, it's such an honor and a blessing.
It is.
And yeah, we're very fortunate. Yeah, so directly from the tribes, yeah, that's where we receive it from.
And talking about honor and blessing, I am truly honored and blessed to have known both of you, because the three of us are now hosting a retreat here in Vegas. Hopefully we can do it every month, but our first one is going to be in August, from August 7th and August 11th, where Hibbs is going to do the yoga. She's going to do some breath work. She's also going to decide what we're going to eat during these days to really dive into ourselves. And Najib obviously is going to help us with the ayahuasca, facilitate that wonderful journey that we're going to put together. And guys, it's such an honor and a blessing to have crossed paths with you. I'm so excited for this event.
Yeah, us too. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, any last thoughts or any last comments that you guys would like to give to our listeners regarding the healing through yoga, the healing through ayahuasca, before we close it?
Yeah, but if you would like to go ahead.
The thought that's coming to me is, if you're listening to this, I just want to affirm that you're already living your purpose. You're already doing what you're supposed to be doing. So that's the first step, is like, congratulate yourself for wherever you're at in your journey, and you'll know in your heart if this is right for you, if plant medicine is right for you. And if it is, jump in. And if you feel like it might be and you're not sure and you just want some first steps, then that's where these ancient practices like yoga and breath work and these types of things, sound healing, are also amazing, powerful tools that can help you as well. And just keep going.
Thank you. Najib?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep going. Yeah. And, the biggest thing is getting to know the community. I think that's super important. So if anyone's considering this path and not quite sure, taking this time to reach out to you, Camila, for example, if they're considering the retreat, and get to know you and get to know a little bit about the retreat and what the purpose is and how, these journeys might help them specifically. And not hesitating to ask questions and not hesitating to, get the answers that they need to fully feel good about diving into an experience like this, I think is so important and powerful. And also, understanding that for this specific retreat, we, operate an actual church, right? So we have a 508c1a church that we operate. And, we do a lot of ceremonies and we take care of people, multiple times a month, every month, and large groups, small groups, privates, all of that. So they're in very good hands. And if they have any questions, I'm sure they can reach out to me through you, and we'd love to take care of them and answer any of those questions on the spiritual level, just to make sure people are 100% comfortable and confident. And yeah, just trust your soul, trust your heart, trust your mind. When it's pushing you in a direction, that's a beautiful thing to explore and experience this life as we're meant to in humanity. And don't be scared. The fear is the motivator, if anything. It's just allowing us to know that we're about to embark on a beautiful, powerful journey. And when we still decide to move forward, even with that fear behind us, just know you will be rewarded for it. And it's a beautiful process. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you. My pleasure. And if you like this podcast, please subscribe and follow us on social medias. Share this with your friends and family and who you believe might benefit from yoga and ayahuasca ceremonies. Thank you so much for listening. Until we meet again, namaste.